In this video, I'm going to outline why I'm against philanthropy and charity. To begin with, I'll define my terms a little. By philanthropy, I mean when rich or not so rich individuals give money for good causes like charities, non-profit organisations and the like. Now, my main objection to philanthropy is that it's an immoral, unreliable and unfair method of wealth distribution. It is a poor solution to the problem of wealth inequality. Why do I say this? Well, society with free-ish markets will always have some wealth inequality. Some people will have more, some people will have less. Without intervention, some may well be destitute. The question is, how should we address this? Given that economies are, in the short term at least, and to a reasonable approximation, zero-sum, this inevitably means that taking money from some people and giving it to others, that is, wealth redistribution. This is a basic fact for any society that wants to help the most poor and disadvantaged. There are several possible ways of redistributing wealth, but there are generally only two that are utilised in modern societies. Either taxation and government spending, or philanthropy and private donations to charities. So why do I claim that philanthropy is immoral, unreliable and unfair? Well, firstly, it's immoral because by funding welfare programs from philanthropic and charitable donations, the responsibility is shifted from the government to individuals. Those who are most needy in our society are the responsibility of the society as a whole, of all people, and the body that represents all of us is our government. To outsource the funding of necessary social programs to private individuals is to abrogate our responsibility as a community, and that is immoral. Secondly, it's unreliable. To have needy people in society depending on the largesse of wealthy benefactors is hardly a reliable system. What we know of human nature tells us that people's philanthropic motivations are not their most common urges. Most people, much of the time, are motivated by selfish motives. This is why capitalist economies work. To rely on philanthropy and altruism is to rely on people to consistently act in ways that we know that they won't. This is why philanthropy is to be celebrated, because it is exceptional. And because it's exceptional, it can't be relied on. Thirdly, it's unfair. Philanthropy entrenches the power of the rich to determine who should and shouldn't receive assistance. We know from environmental campaigns that prettier species, like whales and dolphins, receive much more public support than other just as important but not as photogenic species. And the same is true with philanthropy. The wealthy who can give the most determine who will receive the help. Philanthropists will fund symphony orchestras ahead of food, or art galleries ahead of legal aid. The people who are in a position to give cannot always be trusted to choose wisely. So, what do I propose as an alternative? Well, it seems to me that those societies that do a very good job of providing for their most vulnerable also actually have fairly low rates of philanthropy as a kind of public institution. That is, welfare is provided by the government, rather than by charities funded through private donations. And also, it seems to me that those societies that do rely on philanthropy do a poor job of providing for their most vulnerable. Now, I'm not saying that the world's ills would simply be solved by paying more taxes and giving less to charity. And of course, a government needs to be run well in order for a welfare state to be successful. But I would argue that relying on philanthropy actually reduces the pressure on the government because it can outsource its responsibilities. If your government can't provide a reasonable social safety net, then the solution isn't to simply bypass the government altogether, but rather to hold it accountable and reform it until it can. Sure, don't stop giving to charities, but any time a charity needs private donations to provide basic welfare to society's most needy is an admission of failure by the government, and hence society as a whole. Thank you. See you next time.